Let's cross our fingers this week. It works. Hi, everybody. Leslie Plazz here. Zazoo Plazz. I got a lot to talk about this week. What is it? Sunday? Oh, no, it's Monday. So, yeah. It's just the way it lined up. I'm doing it Monday this week. See, I kept you guessing. I've been doing it Saturday because of Easter. But, yeah, I got a couple things to show off today for show and tell. So I'll do that. Yeah, it's still Easter. It's the Divine Mercy Sunday, second Sunday of Easter. It's Monday morning at, it's about 8, or 8:45. But I'm pretending it's Sunday because even though I was up last night, I had to work out and I had to do my Facebook post and I got my groceries delivered and I got a rant coming up about that. Just quick, I went into this on my Facebook page, but just for you YouTube people, this is my oldest son came back from Vietnam, and I saw him over at my dad's on Easter. Oh yeah, didn't I? Oh, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't talk about Easter. Well, I went over to my dad's. My oldest son was there. We had a nice. Oh yeah, that's right. My report was before that. So yeah, we had a nice time, and he gave me the little presents that he got me in Vietnam with his, and we told a lot of stories, some funny stories, some things. But he got me this little, because he knows I collect magnets, so he gets me a magnet from every trip he goes on. So he got me a tulip in Holland, which is on my fridge, and then he got me something from Vienna. No, Venice. He didn't go to Vienna yet. Venice, like a little magnet, really nice. What else did he get me? He's got me stuff like everywhere. He got me tea from England. He got me cheese from Italy, Parmesan. He got me a postcard from the Vatican. That was last year. But this is, it's the water horse. So it's the year of the horse. But, I'm kind of, the moon is in Pisces right now. I'm kind of a water person. So he got me the water horse. And I guess it's Wa, I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's Y, you can see it, Wa. I know the NG is like a W sound. And he got me this I love. Look at this, it matches my top. And my new necklace here, my Tiffany stone necklace. I got that at the New Age Fair. Silver. See this little guy here? You hold him up. See? Isn't he cute? He's like a little marble, I don't know how well you could see. That's his back. See? He's kind of cute. My favorite color. It's amethyst. It's purple, like a marble. So he got me those, which is kind of cool. I love it. Gives me more, things to write about and find out about. See, with all this information online, it's fine, but if you don't know what to ask and what you're interested in, you need like a little hint or a little something to get your curiosity. It's kind of like an appetizer, before your dinner to kind of whet your appetite and kind of give you a taste of what's to come. So that's how I work, I could take anything, like I have a little pun calendar, puns, and I take the pun of the day calendar, but I don't do it for this day, I do it for like a month ago. Nobody knows. Nobody can follow me. See, even if there's people out there trying to pretend they're me or trying to copy me, you don't have that kind of mind. Only I have that kind of mind. You don't know. You can copy my stuff. But if somebody asks you, what was your inspiration? You will never, ever be able to follow my train of thought. They broke that mold, just so you know. You know, there's these people, I know there's other creators on Facebook who, you know, they think they're pulling something over again. Oh, yeah, you know, she's doing this, so I want to do this. And they're knocking themselves out. They're going to get exhausted because they don't have my energy level, and they're not where I am. They can't pretend to be where I am because it won't work. They're just creating bad karma for themselves anyway. That's it. As well as, okay, so today's my youngest son's birthday, and I'll get to that in a minute. But first of all, I have a rant. Boy, do I have a rant. And, you know, it's, okay, first the astrology. The sun, okay, we got the sun in Aries. And Mars, Saturn, and Neptune conjunct in Aries. That's a lot of fire right there. Moon's in Pisces, that helps. But we got Jupiter in Cancer, then Venus is in Taurus, where she's, you know, at home. Pluto in Aquarius. So the Pisces, Moon is conjunct the North Node today. That's interesting. And the Sun is conjunct Chiron. So that's the wounded healer. You know, you get up some days and I was full of energy, you know, and I got my grocery order delivered. And I said, you know what? Because last week, or the last time I ordered, so the store where I ordered from, they used to deliver with the truck. Now they got these people just picking up stuff and dropping it off. They don't know. They don't check the list to make sure that what was ordered is on there. All they are glorified taxi drivers, Uber drivers for your food. You know, so there's people at the grocery store who do not look at all of my notes. You know, I put notes and I put, like, you know, if something's not available, you put your backup, right? Substitution. So the last time, I didn't really pay much attention to that. Last time I always order the store brand of the non-fat Greek yogurt. Bear with me. I got to get this out. If you're listening, you know who you are. S&S. Anyway. Yeah. I love the store. Okay. My mom shopped there. I shopped there. They used to have a nice truck that came and delivered things from that. They're right up in Massachusetts, near by this big, like, Dutch corporation. They're owned. That's all I'm going to say about that. But I love their food. You know, it's good. And I always get their non-fat Greek plain yogurt. You know, and I make like a yogurt parfait with berries and granola and nuts. That's my, you know, that's my set thing. And so I got the yogurt, and it looked the same. It's the same, you know, packaging, but it says whole milk. And I'm like, what the heck? It's a good thing I noticed, you know, because it's like 40 calories more than the kind that I get. And it has saturated fat in it. I don't do that. I don't do dairy like that. I do non-fat dairy sparingly. It's good calcium. So I said, no, I'm not going to eat that crap. So I put a note this time. I ordered it again, having not used hardly any of the other. I took like a tablespoon and it was gross. I spit it out. So I ordered it again and I put, do not give me whole milk. I want non-fat, you know. And so what shows up on my damn doorstep this morning? The order with the frickin' whole milk Greek yogurt. Okay, so I had a mini, just a little, I had to let off some steam, you know, because, and I said to the girl delivered it, I said, wait a minute, she's going to take off. I said, wait a minute. She was a Gen Z, nice girl, but I said, you know, by the way, I didn't order this, you know. I said, do you know about this? And she's like, oh, I just deliver. I don't know. I don't pick out the groceries. So I said, okay. But do you know how can I resolve this? You know, because it's the second time it's happened. She's like, maybe get DoorDash next time. she's like running. She's like running back to her car because she encountered the wrath of Zazoo. Hey, you screw up my grocery order, you're on my shit list. I take these things very seriously, man. I have midheaven and Cancer, Jupiter, and I have my 10th house in Cancer. I get very worked up about these things because I have a very precise diet and very things that I eat, and I don't and I don't have any respect for people who don't read the damn list. It kind of makes me think maybe it's a guy picking out the stuff, because men, they can look. I was in a house full of men. They can look at the refrigerator and see something right in front of their damn face and ask you where it is. Where is the milk? And it could be right in front of their face and they won't see it. So maybe there's a guy picking out the groceries who just is looking. Well, it looks like the same package. It's Greek yogurt. Oh, I'll give this. Not even knowing there's big letters that says whole milk. Okay, all right, Zazoo, you said your piece. Okay. No, it's that's all I'm gonna say about that for now. For now. Okay. So yeah, speaking of Jupiter, all right, so I did a post on Facebook today about, I realized that my kid, he's 23 today. So happy birthday to my son. I sent him a nice card. I sent him a little money for gas. And I emailed him a gift card, because that way he can, use the check for gas or whatever. And then he's got another one to spend, like dinner with his girlfriend however he wants to do it. All they want is like money and stuff. So I got that, and I was doing a little research, and I noticed that his Jupiter is in Leo, his natal Jupiter. That's in his 7th house of like relationships and stuff. And June 30th, Jupiter is moving back into Leo. So I thought that was interesting that he's going to have his Jupiter return. So it must be his, let's see, his Jupiter is at 8 degrees. So it'll take probably till next year. Next year he'll have his Jupiter, sometime between this year and next year, have his Jupiter return. So like when he's 23 and a half. That makes sense, because Jupiter takes about 12 years to go around. It's a little more than a year in each sign. So yeah, that makes sense. So that was interesting. I'm picking up on a lot of Leo energy this week. So that's probably why. And I was thinking, I got to thinking, I found some old pictures of him. How did I get it? Oh, the topic today was submarines. And I realized that I guess, here in Connecticut, we have a major submarine manufacturer, Electric Boat, General Dynamics, down in Groton. And they just took over most of the Crystal Mall where we used to go. We used to take the kids there. It's right at Waterford on the way. Like if you go to the Rhode Island beaches from the Hartford, from northern Connecticut, you have to go by the Crystal Mall. Well, it's the way we used to go anyway. Before you get on I-95 south to, Mystic and the Rhode Island beaches, we'd pass right by the Crystal Mall. So we'd go, usually on the way home, we'd stop in and get orange chicken at Panda Express or whatever the kids wanted at the food court. We'd walk around sometimes. It was beautiful, beautiful mall. The standard mall. They had the anchor stores, the Macy's and Sears, and it was like you would walk and it would be like steps, little steps and levels. And they had a beautiful Waterford crystal chandelier. So of course, like most of our malls, it just slowly died until finally last year, the Electric Boat took over, I think they took over one of the anchor stores And so they just had a job fair this past weekend, and I read about it. I had no idea. But there's all these people lined up outside the Crystal Mall. I'm like, and they took down like the Sears and the Macy's, that used to be on the outside. And they're like, oh yeah, this is great. And I think, yeah, it's going to bring thousands of jobs because they just got a new contract. It's kind of sad, on the other hand, that they're in the mall. And we Gen Xers, we grew up with the mall. The mall was our life, It's just kind of sad driving by these malls, and they're not malls anymore. And where are people supposed to go, It's kind of sad. But anyway, the whole, I guess the theme I'm on today is like, where do people gather now, So thinking about the apostles, when Jesus, after Jesus' resurrection, they're all clustered in the room in the gospel today. They're all afraid and they're locked in, and it's kind of like what happened to the whole world, in 2020. Everybody was locked down and afraid to go anywhere, do anything, say anything, right? And then the Spirit came and then made them all speak out, come forward. But up until that point, there was this fear, that made people, the apostles, act in that way. So, so that's my little spiel on that. And I found some pictures of my kid when he went with the Scouts in 2014. They went up to Fall River, which is where my mom was born. And they moved to the Hartford area when she was about 5 in the early 40s. So here the kid went to where she was born and to where his grandma came from. And they went to Battleship Cove, and they saw that there was a submarine called the Lionfish and all these other great old battleships and stuff. So they had a good time. So these are some of the things our kids got to do, which was really cool, with the Scouts when they were. I think he was still in Cub Scouts, and the older one was already in Boy Scouts. So to talk about here we go with the Bible today. Are we done? Yeah, we're going with the Bible. Because I'm really hungry. I've been working all night, and I've got to go have my paleo hot chocolate. And this whole thing with the yogurt, I've got to go out and get my damn yogurt, which I didn't expect to have to do. Okay, settle down, Sally. Okay, Acts of the Apostles. It said, that they devoted themselves after Jesus, resurrection, to teaching the apostles, to communal life, right? Praying, breaking bread, dividing their possessions, giving it to whomever needed it. And that they ate with exaltation and sincerity of heart, right? So when you sit down to eat, I always give thanks for all the, like maybe just 3 things, the food and just some random things, and then you imagine that abundance is flowing upon you, and you keep. Every time you sit down to eat, you repeat it. And sooner or later, you're filled with this joy, right? And this feeling of awe, and awareness of all the wonders that are around. That once you start noticing and giving thanks for the good things, right, and stop complaining about things, or saying that. Just because you don't see something happening and manifesting, that it's not in the works, right? You have to have faith that what is meant for you is in the works, and that God will bring it at the appropriate time. See? So then I read, awe came upon everyone, and many wonders and signs were done every day the Lord saved more and more. And I thought, many wonders, and I started feeling, we're on that day, oh, that song, and keep feeling fascination. Okay, so that's coming. It's a human lead song. That's the song, one of the songs. The other one's a surprise. So the Psalm said, Psalm 118, says, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, his love is everlasting. So those who fear God say it's his mercy endures forever. So then it talks about how the Lord helping him when he was hard pressed and falling, right? Lord being our strength and our Savior, and the just shout, the just shout with joy for victory, and with the victory, right? And the stone the builders rejected became the cornerstone. And it was funny, speaking of that, because you think about it, the stone builders rejected well, that's Jesus. But, the things, and even when it's funny how, the stuff that a lot of people like on social media is not necessarily the best quality. They just don't, people don't see it. They don't, they reject certain things because they don't think that it's going to help them attain worldly goals, right? But, the things that are really valuable, the real pearls are the things that people think are not, worthwhile. But those are very often the things that, will last the longest, endure the longest, right? Into the next life. That's where you have to put your focus, not on this crap that's trendy and falling away, right? So, and it reminded me of a video I saw on YouTube. I just happened to stumble upon, there's this couple in Indiana that bought this old schoolhouse and renovated it for their family. They have 3-4 kids, and they showed like how what it was like when they bought it, that nobody wanted it and it was cheap, and they had to do all this renovating. There were big spiders and holes in the wall, and nobody wanted it. It was too much work, but they lovingly, it took them years, 5 years, but they got all these crafts people and came in, and and it was a labor of love, a place that they can raise their kids and educate them. And the lady was saying, she showed off her little powder room, this one bathroom, and she said that she went to this marble company and she picked out this stone that had a big gash in it, and it was, people didn't want it, so she got it for a good deal and she turned it into her sink, and it was this really cool, green marble. And so that reminded me that the stone that was rejected, but she turned it into something that was really cool and unique and valuable, with like a gold sink. She had like a copper sink. And so that made me think, okay, first, Peter. It says, Jesus' resurrection through mercy of God gave us, it talks about an inheritance that no one can take away from us, right? That is being kept like in trust in heaven for the final time. So, sirens. All right, so sirens. Okay, so this inheritance that it talks about, sorry about that, there's sirens off there. It's our inheritance going to be unfading and undefiled, right? Imperishable. So the things of the earth, things of this 3D world are perishable. But we have to have faith that, that God God and his power is watching over and protecting that which is meant for us. What the heck is going on out there? See, it's Mars, it's Aries fire. What the heck? What is it? Is it coming in here? What the heck is going on out there? I'm trying to do my damn Zazoo report. Okay. Oh, great. Got a big shit on my. Okay. I just noticed that. Too many peanuts. Anyway, I just noticed I got a big zit. I'll have to put some apple cider vinegar on it. See, I'm not perfect. So, I was thinking, that it talks about gold, okay? It talks about gold, how it burns in the fire, but this inheritance of ours is even more valuable than gold, right? Gold, it takes a very hot, temperature to melt gold, and apparently it's indestructible. It changes shape, but it's not. But it doesn't cease to be. It just changes its form, right? So even more valuable than gold is, it's our soul, right? So that even those who don't see Christ will believe that, this Christ, gold Christ, gift of the Christ. It's almost like a liquid fire, right? You can imagine, that's our inheritance, right? So now we have the doubting Thomas, John chapter 20, the doubting Thomas story. And so like I said, the apostles, right, they're all locked away and hunkered down. And Jesus comes, and the door's locked, and he walks through the walls or whatever. He's there. It says, "Peace be with you," and he, shows them his hands and his side that's pierced and everything, so they know it's him, right? And they're all, joyful and he's alive. So he breathes the Holy Spirit on them, and he says, those your sins you forgive are forgiven, and those you retain are retained. So, in other words, he gives them the ability to heal, right? And so the Holy Spirit. It's interesting that Chiron, Sun Chiron, because that's sort of like their purpose is going to be to go out and heal with this holy fire, right? It's also the wind and fire. Holy Spirit comes in different forms, but that's the beginning, their initiation of their purpose, right? Their vocation. And so Thomas wasn't there. Thomas had a dentist appointment or something. He wasn't with the rest of them. But then the next week, he's like, I don't know. I'll have to see it to believe it. The next week he's with them, and then Jesus comes back and he's like, calls him on it. I see you. You didn't believe. Blessed are those who don't get to see me and believe, because he's like, oh, it's Jesus, my Lord, not everything. But in the gospel, I guess they say there was a lot of other signs that were not recorded, but this particular one was, they used Thomas as an example to say, look, this guy knew Jesus, right? And he's, he didn't believe, he doubted. And how fortunate, he believed because he was there, right? But then there's going to be people to come who, they will go by faith. That their inheritance, will come to them. 2,000 plus years later, that's who they were talking about, us. So, anyway, and they were talking about the final times, right? So, when Jesus was said to, come again. So, humanly. So, there's two. Okay, this takes me back to high school. This synth pop new wave came when I was in high school in the early 80s. And so the first one is, I've done this one before, but it's perfect. Keep Feeling Fascination. Like I said, that song, the sound, scripture reminded me of that song. It was, come to find out, it was released April 15th, tax day, 1983. That's the year I graduated high school. It got to number 8 on the U.S. Billboard that summer. And so they did the video. They said that they wanted people in the U.S. to know that they were a live band, that they were a real band performing and not just like, some, I don't know, fake setup, manufactured thing, I don't know. So they're playing in this area of London in the video that's scheduled for demolition. And it's all gray and dirty and stuff. But then you see this orange. They painted like the building and everything around it orange because it was going to be torn down. It was torn down anyway that year. But they zoom out like on a map and you see this blob of orange. It's kind of, it's fun. And so there was that one. And then this one I'd never heard of. You Remind Me of Gold. They released November of '82. It was the B-side of the Mirror Man single. And I guess Phil Oakley he's still the lead singer. He's the only original. He's the guy with the lopsided hair, I guess. It's funny because he's a Libra. You would think that would drive him nuts. But there's 2 other women in the band, I guess, who joined later, and they're still with. But the original band he's the only one left. He's got it like his hair was like chopped off here. Now he's bald, but it was like chopped off here and it was long on this side. He had to do something different from Boy George, I guess. I don't know who else was around during that time. It was like the Pet Shop Boys and the Human League and a couple other bands. They were big when I was in high school. So go, watch those. And hopefully, I sent my taxes in end of March, but hopefully you get yours done, everybody. If you're in the U.S., they're due in a couple days. So I'm going to go have my snack. Thankful that the video worked this week. It's a bird out there. Thankful that my neighbor went to work so I can do my thing. I'm gonna, I've got things up my sleeve. I'm not saying. Just gonna go take care of that. Till next week, I'll be here same time, same place, different time. Take care, everybody. Have a great week. Zazoo Plazz, signing out.